Welcome to another offseason edition of Begley's Mailbag here on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley, SNY NBA Insider, and I am here to answer your questions on the Knicks and the NBA. We're going to start off here with Hoop Alchemy, and Hoop Alchemy says, now that the Knicks season is done, I'm asking the question, why didn't Leon Rose go after Pascal Siakam and not OG if both were available in a trade? What did Indiana give up for Siakam that we couldn't have? So I know that the Knicks did have conversations with Toronto on Siakam before they executed the OG deal. I'm sure many teams talked to Toronto about both OG and Siakam, but the Knicks were one of them. And actually, a couple opposing teams felt that the Knicks had made some headway on the discussions on Siakam, but obviously they don't get to the finish line there as far as what they were willing to offer versus what Indiana was willing to offer. I'm not sure, but obviously they felt OG was a very good fit. So they went and got that deal done. And, you know, if he's healthy throughout the season, I'm sure the Knicks would have been in a better place than they were at the end of the year. And especially the postseason, I think they'd probably be in the Eastern Conference Finals with a healthy Anunoby. So it kind of proved to be true that Anunoby was a good fit for them. But I'm sure you watched Siakam in that playoff series, and he was great late in the series against the Knicks. I think he was one of the keys to them winning the series. So it's a fair question. Knicks did have contact with Toronto on Siakam, but I don't know exactly how far down the road they got. Got one from Precious Enjoyer. What are the Knicks thinking about Bogdanovic's team option for next year? They plan on keeping him off the bench or using him as a trade piece. Well, I know that, going into the trade deadline, part of their thinking was trying to get a player who was under contract for next season, because then you could potentially use that player's contract in a trade. Bogdanovic has $2 million guaranteed for next year. It becomes fully guaranteed at, I think, $19 million and change on June 26th. So the Knicks have a decision to make there at that point if they want to fully guarantee Bogdanovic's deal for next season. And they've kind of kept their options open in general when it seems like they have two roads to go on a player. So I would assume that they pick up that option. They have Bogdanovic under contract for next season. And, if a deal comes along where you need his salary to match, to get a big salary player back, then I don't think they'd hesitate to put him in. But they coveted him enough to give up what they gave up at the trade deadline to get both Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. So I don't see them as just kind of throwing Bogdanovic away now because he's hurt and he's going to be maybe not available early in the season. They clearly valued him significantly because they made the trade for him. So I would assume that they do pick up that option. It would be a little bizarre to me if they didn't, and then you either have him on your roster or you have a good salary to use in trade discussions. Got a question here from Ted, also Kits 99948, talks about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis I'd mentioned as someone who might potentially want out if the Lakers lost early. Any update on that? Would the Knicks have interest? I don't have an update on that. I hadn't really checked in recently. Nothing new from kind of what the scuttlebutt was when I first mentioned it. Obviously, the Lakers would have to undergo a massive shift in their thinking to entertain trades of Anthony Davis because he is under contract. LeBron James is a different situation. He could potentially be free, but Davis is under contract for a few years here. So Lakers would have to really decide to want to go young or go in a totally different direction at big man to entertain trading Anthony Davis, even if he wanted to be moved. That being said, if they ever were to listen to offers on Davis, I am sure the Knicks would be one of the 29 other teams that made calls and tried to figure out what the Lakers wanted for Davis. And just a footnote here, when Davis was asking out, getting out of New Orleans, eventually obviously ended up in LA, he did see the Knicks as a potential destination, a place where he might want to be. That was years ago. Just a footnote, not really relevant to this conversation, but obviously if you're the Knicks, you hold on to your trade assets, you hold on to your draft picks for a player of Anthony Davis's caliber to become available. So I would assume they'd be very aggressive if it came to be. I haven't heard anything new, though, on that front. RX Meister 55 says, think firing of J.B. Bickerstaff makes it more or less likely that the Cavs trade Donovan Mitchell? If so, would the Knicks be interested? My understanding is I don't think Mitchell has made up his mind one way or the other, and obviously the Cavs would love to have him back, but even in the wake of the Bickerstaff firing, I don't think Mitchell has made up his mind yet. So I would think that the Cavs at least take a look at different coaching candidates that Mitchell would want, even if they don't have assurances that he'll be back, to try to lure him back. And I do think, I know one coach that is on their radar is Johnny Bryant, the associate head coach of the New York Knicks. Obviously, close relationship with Donovan Mitchell. So I would expect Cleveland to look to talk to Johnny during their course of their coaching search. But as far as Donovan and the Knicks, I've been saying it for a little while now. I don't see them as being as aggressive on Donovan this offseason as they were 2 off seasons ago if Donovan becomes available. My understanding just in general is that, Mitchell obviously was seen as such a great fit for this Knicks team that summer, 2 summers ago, but at this point, some people I don't think see him as perfect of a fit for this roster. So again, I don't think the Knicks would be as aggressive on Mitchell if he became available. Obviously, they would have to consider it, but I don't see them kind of being ready to make the kind of offers that they were making to Utah a couple summers ago on Mitchell. That'll do it for this edition of Begley's Mailbag here on SNY.TV, but keep an eye out for our next mailbag that will be coming up later this offseason.